back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie.
Let's take a look at some of the front pages for you. No, we won't. Yes, we will.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's the FT for it. It's got Liz Truss on the front, but it's so far away I can't read what the actual headline says because my eyesight isn't that good. I'd say, well, let's ditch those for now.
Yeah, let's go through the papers.
I think it's been more interesting to talk to our guests rather than me squinting at the monitor as I see what the papers say. The author James Woodhousen and the journalist Susan Holder are here. I should say author and journalist because you've just got a new book out, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Which is, yeah. Last time you were on, you were plugging that like mad.
Well, yes, my Beatles-themed rom-com and my Elvis-themed rom-com is out in September, so yes.
There you go. There's a theme there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
anyway, it's good to see you both. James, let's start with energy supplies in the Times.
Well, the interesting thing about this story, which is on page 6 of the Times, is that in Norway they seem to have the same poor reserve of reservoirs, except it's much more important there. That we have in this country. They've got a drought, and in Norway they make a lot of hydropower, which is all to do with water, and the reservoirs are low, and therefore they will not be feeding us the electricity through the beautifully named interconnector. Quite a lot of electricity, actually, across the sea, and therefore that impacts on us. I don't believe that it's just a question of climate change in Norway. I think it sounds to me like Norway has, for once, usually very professional on energy matters, not made plans good enough to handle a situation such as we've got. And it certainly brings out the interdependence of the energy economy.
Well, I was going to say, they're looking after themselves, aren't they, come what may, which is understandable. We do the same.
Yeah, well, they're going to look after their electricity supply first, and will be second. So there's a lot of exporting and importing going on. We're exporting some juice to France at the moment. France is in trouble because the water's too hot to cool their nuclear reactors. So before we all rush to say, oh, well, look, renewables are cheaper than anything else at the moment, let's recognize that it's a complete and international system that we're dealing with here. Without the gas backup for renewables.
And we need to build more reservoirs as well, don't we?
Exactly. You know,
we've had one for 30 years.
Did you say it was 40?
40 years, since the
40.
70s, I believe. Yeah, and they're just doing one down, I think it's on the south coast now, the first in 40 years. So let's, we are not just subject to natural forces. This is a completely feudal outlook. We have technology, we have labor, we have IT, we have reservoirs. We should be tracking all of this stuff with the kind of IT that's called digital twins, where you're able to find out what water is where all over the country in a real-time model and look at it on the screen. And if the national grid in electricity and gas is anything to go by, we're not doing that yet. And we need to do that. We can do that.
Yeah, well, we've got to get on with it, haven't we? This is, I think these things, they're very expensive to do, and I think that's the problem. We just sit back and say, oh, well, next year. Now we've run out of time. Susan, bionic arms in the mirror, or bionic limbs?
Bionic limbs, particularly upper limbs, prosthetic limbs. Yes, apparently, at the moment on the NHS, if a child or somebody needs, an adult even needs a prosthetic limb, they obviously provide fake arms, but they look the part, and they are getting better and better at looking the part, but they don't necessarily do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
So there is a move for the government to fund the better bionic arms, which don't actually look, they look quite robotic, but what they're claiming is they've kind of could give you almost superpowers with what they could do. But even if they just have a better grip and do anything else.
Yeah.
So at the moment, as I say, they provide ones that do look the part but don't do the work. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, it says here in the Daily Mirror, that the NHS is set to decide at the end of August whether to routinely commission the multi-grip upper prosthetics. So they're calling for the government to kind of put money into that, so that at the moment families have to raise £12,000 themselves to upgrade to something that actually does that.
I mean, you need functionality.
I would, above all else.
Yeah.
And actually, I think anything, if it looked quite robotic, I don't think anyone would mind that if it did the actual job.
I think they look quite cool.
Absolutely cool, yes. I mean, I'm old enough to remember what the bionic man and the bionic woman, and actually, they kind of would bring that, if we brought that kind of thing back, program for children, to see that kind of thing, they'd be very inspired by that kind of superhero kind of mentality of having those kind of powers. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, the NHS is so stretched, but there are some things that do need to be prioritised.
I never understood with the bionic man how we could have Oh no, he had 2 bionic legs. I was wondering, 2 and 1 bionic arm. Yeah, because you only had 1 bionic leg that you'd
it'd be
run
like
around in circles.
You
that
would.
be
That's
very
interesting that after all that talk, which we distantly remember from 5 or 10 years back, that the robots are coming, they're going to take all our jobs. And it just hasn't happened. No robot has inserted themselves under this desk that we've seen. But where it is happening is in prosthetics and in biology.
I don't know if I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it seems that I went to the bank yesterday. I had to go to the bank, and I never used cash, but a neighbour got some work done. The neighbour gave me half the money in cash, so I had to go to the bank. And I just dropped it in a slot, and it whirred, and then said, "Oh, you've got this many 20s and this many 10s, and it's all in your account." I thought, well, you don't need a teller now, do you?
Yes, but
chuck it in a slot.
And the
that's
whole
not count.
supermarket, something in the bagging area, and nobody to speak to. Everything is being kind of taken over and moved away from. I mean, even, yeah, I think
not enough. Far too slow. Old technology. What people were talking about was 50 to 75% or 66% of the US population being vulnerable to robots. That hasn't happened.
Well, hasn't happened at that pace. But then again,
Definitely not. If you look at the number of robots in the world installed, you're looking at about 4 million. Unemployment in the world is 200 million more, and it's going to be
yeah, but it
great.
depends what you call a robot.
Yeah, but the thing that sorts cash is not what you and I understand by a robot.
No, but it's technology that's putting people out of a job.
Yes, and
Well, if
a
you look at
sensible person with a functioning brain actually has a better computer up there than any computer you could ever
Well, this
design.
is also true, and why the advances in bionics are the ones to really check out, because also medical and hygiene robots have had quite an innings with the COVID crisis. So our perception of change, Stephen and Ellie, is that that automation is everywhere and coming at us right away. It's not. There's not enough of it, in fact.
Now, this is in the Star, James. I'm very into my spacey stuff. The James Webb Space Telescope has taken an amazing picture of our closest star, Proxima Centauri.
Well, there's one snag, Stephen.
What's that with it?
The nearest.
Right. Look at it, you can see all the different solar patches and the heat on the sun, and
There's two
it's
snags.
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
There's 2 snags. First of all, it's a picture of chorizo sausage.
Or chorizo.
Or however you pronounce it.
Chorizo. Yeah.
Second of
Thank
all,
heavens your ears, Susan.
stars don't
People
look like
shouting at the telly.
stars don't look like that. And if you're a star buff, as you are, Stephen, it says photo of Proxima Centauri, the closest star to the sun. Now, if you know your astronomy, you'll know that Alpha Centauri
Well, yes,
is 4 light years away from the sun. So Proxima Centauri is probably from northern Italy with a side order of cow added to the pig. It is just a sausage, and some wag has...
It's not some wag. He's an eminent scientist who's trying to prove a point about fake news, which is that a lot of people fell for the fact that he posted this picture, and he was trying to prove a point, which I think he's proved rather successfully.
I think so.
What I don't understand is why he's now apologising. Who's he apologising to?
No.
Who might? I mean, I just think it's hilarious. The moon is made of cheese. That is made of chorizo. I'm not had my breakfast. I'm quite hungry. I think about all this. I think it's brilliant. I think he's done a better job, and I don't think he should apologise at all.
No.
And I think one
Certainly
Twitter...
shouldn't apologise.
He shouldn't, but one Twitter... I mean, I am reading out the Daily Star. One Twitter user blasted, coming from a scientific research director, it's quite inappropriate to share this type of thing. Did they say that? Did they? Or is that another bit of fake news?
I don't know.
think it's all nonsense. I think he's done a really good job to prove the point that you can put things out there and people will fall for it.
Still a wag, though.
Oh, yeah, but it's a good one.
Yeah,
It's a
of
good one.
course.
And
It's a good one.
Terrific.
Yeah, and I think we should name him. I think he's Etienne Klein. I think from the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission. Well done. I think it was a good. I think he's done a good job.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, we're sort of sitting in a heat wave and all the rest of it. Well, not the heat wave, but it's still warm.
Warm,
It's
isn't it?
still very warm.
Yeah.
So what better thing to think about, Susan,
Yeah.
than Christmas?
Well, and I know why you. Yes, I know why you give me this. And I'm going to try and get through the whole thing without making our word. So my husband is noddy holder. So Christmas is a thing in our house, but it isn't a thing in our house all year.
No.
Can I say? He does not, go around shouting it's Christmas. People will shout it's Christmas at him on a regular
Can I
basis.
just ask,
all-
and I hate to do this,
Oh
because I know
my
you
God.
can.
No, you
What
love
the-
it.
If you do it on Christmas morning,
Well, the
that's the
last
first thing he says when he gets up on Christmas
the last
morning.
2 years, we've spent our Christmases Ada, just the two of us, because obviously the first year that's what we were told to do, and the second year
He's had enough of the kids.
everyone we knew got COVID.
Oh, right.
So everyone was fine the first year. So we've had, and I think to cheer me up, because we've not been able to see the kids, everything. Yes, I have had the whole Noddy Holder It's Christmas experience, which is to be recommended.
Noddy, really?
It is to be recommended.
Do you not want to strangle him?
No, I think that's not. I mean, come on, people would pay good money, and I get
They
it
would.
for free.
They would.
But I do. I mean, again, I think this is probably. I suspect John Lewis of the department stores are available. Is at the bottom of the whole Christmassy stories that are in a few of the papers today, saying that Christmas comes earlier. And I know it drives people mad. It drives. It drives me
Called
mad.
Christmas creep.
Christmas
Quite
creep, which is something like the Grinch, isn't it? That's like the Christmas. That's a whole kind of movie waiting to happen.
Start thinking in April.
But I mean, on some level, perhaps obviously people should. If you're going to spend a lot of money, if you've got expenses with everything that's going on, it's not a bad idea to be putting stuff away or shopping early. I get all of that. But reassuringly, the other story I found about the Christmas creep, Christmas come early, is some of the toys they're saying are going to be the big ones this year.
I love the way they tell us what's
They
going to
tell
be
us
the big ones.
which
because-
makes the demand.
Because it's just there, it's advertising, isn't it?
Of course it is, and that is all it is. However, what I was reassured about, while having one eye on all that and being quite a suspicious person by nature, is actually some of these toys are quite kind of retro and old school.
Oh.
There's like a Girls' World head. It's not Girls' World, it's another make now. Girls' World was a thing back in I never had
The
one.
hairdressing thing.
The kind of weirdly disembodied head that you could put makeup on.
I had one of those, yeah.
I never had one of theirs. I'm quite jealous. But I saved you putting it all on yourself. It was actually quite a good idea. There's one of those. There's a little kind of wooden pizza oven, like a kitchen-y thing. There's a workbench. There's a Play-Doh ice cream truck set. That's £99. It's probably the most. But it does look great that you have a little trolley that you push around and make ice cream. I can
used to
see
love
kids.
Play-Doh.
Yeah, and Lego. So all these things are actually quite traditional. So that's quite reassuring. And
That is reassuring.
and the one that they're saying is going to be the most popular toy, which I don't believe, is a pink dancing dog that looks a bit kind of weird.
it is,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, I
It
quite like, I
looks
quite like
like,
the look of
But
that.
it is only £11.99. Good news.
Ellie is far too young to remember Dougal.
From the Magic Roundabout.
From the Magic Roundabout. It
is
looks
a
like
bit
Dougal.
It does look. Oh, I wonder if that's the inspiration. There's maybe Dougal could probably sue.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I had a Dougal pillowcase, I remember.
Cool. I tell you how we know, how I always know that Christmas is coming early, and that's another story I spotted earlier today, is they start announcing who's going to be on Strictly Come Dancing. Yeah.
Oh.
So they've started doing this kind
The
of
end of
daily
summer,
and
isn't
that,
it?
to me, that just the kind of music Strictly, I'm like, oh, is it nearly Christmas? Because it's always in the run-up to Christmas that we have Strictly. And they've had Kay Adams,
Was Kay Adams in it? Will Mellor.
Will Mellor and Kim Marsh.
Kim Marsh.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be good on that, wouldn't you?
Would you?
We were
Everyone
saying
says
this
that.
yesterday.
I think you doing a rumble would be a sight to behold.
I bet it would. me in a what do you call it?
Would you
Not
do it?
leotard,
He's going to say no, but they always say.
Yeah.
No.
There comes a
He'll be on the phone after the show.
Unitard.
My
Unitard.
husband has been offered every reality
Has
show.
he?
No, the hilarious stories I could tell you about the thing. The one not that long ago, Dancing on Ice. I mean,
Oh.
I'm not being funny, but
You are being funny.
Well, they're being funny. I don't let him go to the post box when there's a heavy frost. Because the thought of him
Dancing on ice.
the thought of him doing Dancing on Ice is a bit bizarre. But yes, you do get some very strange offers coming over on email. But,
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
it's only a matter of time before
Do you
they
think?
come for you for
I
straight.
don't know if I'd do it or not. To be
You'd be good, Steve.
Oh, I
You'd be
don't know
very
if I
good.
do it or not. That's not a no.
Well, no, but you sort of think I hate to sound.
He's open to offers.
I hate to sound like really sort of cutthroat about it. It's to do with the money.
Well,
It's to do with the money. If there's enough money, you do it. But otherwise, I'm not
To
going to
make
make
a complete prat.
I'm not going to make a fool of myself for
Here we
nothing.
are, you've got to be paid.
But, whereas I've got all eyes now, and this is because I'm a proper old-fashioned northerner. All eyes are on the pension. That's what it is. It's all about putting money away for the pension.
You should do Strictly then.
yeah.
Well, then you've got
I
to be
reckon
offered.
you're a good
You
dancer.
could put
I
your
reckon
out
you'd-
at the
yeah.
same time, but you've just got to go with it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I think I'd end up being a comedy act if I did it. But there you go.
that'd be great.
There's a thought. There's a thought. One day they may offer, and I may say yes. But I wouldn't guarantee it. I would not
Heard it
guarantee
here
it.
first.
Not unless there's a lot of zeros. know, £10 isn't enough, strictly. There you go. Susan, James, we're going to leave it there. Thank you both very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
I hope you're not in trouble when you get home.
For what did I do? What
Well,
did I
for
do?
just, you know,
oh, for just
saying-
mentioning him. Or
Well, just for saying he can't, you know, skate or dance or...
I didn't. No. I didn't say he
No.
could skate or dance. Can I be fair? No, he can dance. Yeah, he can dance perfectly. Skating, I've never seen.
Skate.
But no, I didn't say he couldn't.
You'd worry about him on the ice.
I would
That's what
worry
we
about
said.
him on the ice.
Makes
I
her a
think we
good
all-
wife, Steve.
You know, it's going to be from, you know, this will be Express Online exclusive, won't it?
Wife
I
and husband from
I can see
Dancing
it,
on
I can
Ice.
see it coming. Where's James going?
Oh, he's off. Oh, he's off. Oh, he's off. What's going on?
I mean,
He's had enough. He's had enough.
I know we like to run a relaxed studio, James, but that's taking the mickey. Honestly. We're going to have to glue him to the seat next time.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
Couldn't make it up, could you? Anyway, look, thank you both very much
Yeah,
indeed.
thank